People don't respect you because of who you are. They respect you because of who they have to be in order to stay in your life. If you lower your standards in order to make somebody else comfortable, you already lost the game. Respect is the admission fee that someone has to pay in order to be in your life. If they can't pay it, you don't lower it. You simply close the gate without saying a single word. The reason you're feeling disrespected is not because people don't see the value in you, it's because they have learned where your limits are. Oftentimes, we have been told that we have to be nice at all costs in order to keep the peace and to keep everyone happy. And by doing so, maybe they'll see how much we actually bring to the table. But it is actually the opposite. When you prioritize everyone else's comfort over your own, you're sending a silent signal that you are willing to self-abandon for the sake of others. And the truth is, no one respects a woman who does not respect her own boundaries. In this video, I will be sharing 5 emotionally intelligent habits that will change how people see you, treat you, and respect you all without saying a word. Because truth is that real respect comes not from words, but from actions. Getting respected by others starts with the relationship that you have with your own self, the self-respect, because your exterior, how people treat you, is simply a reflection of how you see your own self. The habit of keeping your promise is one of the greatest ways in order for you to elevate your own self-respect. And I know it sounds simple, but that is actually where self-respect is built. It is basically the reputation that you have with your own self. When you tell yourself something or you set a goal for yourself, let's say, for example, I want to wake up at 7 a.m. every day because I want to get up and be productive. And 7 a.m. comes around the next day and you hit that snooze button. I've been there too. I get it. But you hit that snooze button. Well, what does that tell your subconscious? What it's telling it is that your word is worthless. And the more and more that this happens, there is this depreciating of your self-respect every time, more and more. You just don't trust your own self. And how does that show up with others? Well, most of our behavior and actions come from our subconscious that runs things automatically. And when a person has such a low self-respect within themselves, they carry that with relationships and the way they interact with people, in their tone of voice, in their body language, in their behavior and how they speak to other people. It subconsciously signals to the other person as well, making them think that they have this sort of power over you. And this is prime target for manipulators, abusers, or not good people that are looking to take advantage of others. And by going about this way, people can just tell. They can feel that they can do X, Y, and Z, and that you don't have the guts to stand up for your own self. And I say this with a lot of love and a lot of grace because I know that a lot of us want to. I know that we really have that drive. And it really is just a matter in mindset and how you see things. So I hope that this consciously brings up a pattern and you're able to pick up on it and change it. Think about it. How do you expect somebody else to hold you up to a certain standard when you are not even able to do that for your own self? So that's where you need to start. And what happens when you actually keep your promises? You do what you are going to say. Now, for a fact, you know that you are reliable. You now have all of the proof, all of the data to signal your subconscious, oh, we are competent, we are worthy, we do what we say. And that is the energy that you portray now out in the world. And just how somebody can pick up when you don't respect yourself, they can definitely feel when you are somebody that holds yourself to a certain standard. This is a concept I called mastering your internal scorecard. So what I mean by that is that within your own self, you have the data that proves I am worthy, I am competent, I believe in my ability to do X, Y, and Z. And the external scorecard is trying to find that data in the outside. External validation, trying to feel worthy by somebody else, or chasing a situation for validation. And it's just not in the good places that one would want to find that self-worth, self-respect. An external scorecard looks like, did they like me? Did I do this good enough? Am I being too much? Whereas an internal scorecard looks like, did I stay aligned? Did I keep my peace? Did I uphold the standards that I hold myself up to? And that is the difference between a high EQ and a low EQ. Having an internal scorecard being an indicator of high emotional intelligence and having an external scorecard being an indicator of lower emotional intelligence. And you, my friend, are going to score high on that EQ test. The habit that I want you to implement is keeping the promises to yourself. When you say that you are going to do something, or you say, I am not going to do something, you stay firm to your own decisions. For example, we may be pressured into going somewhere or doing something for someone else, and our internal self might be like, oh, yeah, like I don't feel like it, but it'll make that person happy, so I'm just gonna do it, or I'm gonna go. No, that's where you use your internal compass, where you go off based on how you truly feel about that. The moment that something doesn't feel right or you don't want to, don't. Stop saying yes to the things that you really don't want to do just for the sake of being nice. Because every time that you do, you are self-abandoning yourself. You are signaling to your own self, oh, you don't matter. I'm still controlled by the external world. And that is one of the quickest ways to lose self-respect for your own self. Practice it, preach it, go off based on your internal compass and how decisions actually feel that will direct how your decisions are made. Because when you stop self-betraying, you stop looking for external validation. The lack of neediness is what others respect. The next one is the zero response to disrespect habit, which is how to navigate a disrespectful situation. Before we get into it, I want these words to sink in. Disrespect only has power if it gets a reaction out of you. When someone is disrespectful to you, they are either projecting, testing your boundaries, or trying to get a reaction out of you, consciously or not. And when you react emotionally to it, you enter their frame. They basically got what they wanted. And when you don't, they feel this mismatch. You are basically emotionally and energetically untouched, meaning that their jab at you didn't even register to you. And now this person has lost all their power with the intention that they had. A highly emotional, intelligent person will not argue for their worth because their worth is not even up for debate. Arguing is like a form of begging to be seen, or of very firmly trying to state why the other person is wrong or why they can't be looked at that way. By offering zero reaction, you signal that their opinion is so below their reality that it didn't even register as a threat. Not to say that when somebody throws a jab or says something to you that you won't feel anything. No, being human is feeling. It's simply having the ability to separate yourself from the situation and have the input as data. And when that information comes to you, you can consciously make a decision on how it is that you want to proceed. Because when you don't and you make an instant emotional reaction, that is literally a decision that your conscious brain did not make. Because when somebody has an emotion, it first travels to the lower part of the brain, the emotional brain, and it could either stay there and act out, or by taking a pause and allowing that information to travel all the way up to our prefrontal cortex where our logical decisions are made. You now have saved yourself from committing an action that you may or may not regret, but now at least that decision will come from a more conscious perspective. So the habit here would be, I'm going to lay a little example for you. Say you are out to lunch with some girls. And say a girl is making a little jab at you or critiquing you or doing something a little shady, is what you are going to do is have zero emotional response to it. And now that person who could have either been triggered, could have been jealous, it just whatever is going on over there, and their intention to have some sort of power over you is obliterated. And now that person is out left looking weird. And just like that, without even saying a word, you just dominated the situation from what that person was trying to make you feel bad or make you have a reaction or something. No, the person does not have that type of power over you. So practice this every time. And it's not just with friends, it's literally with anyone, with a boss, a coworker, a family member, anyone, when they are trying to get a reaction out of you, you have zero emotional response to it. You don't give them that power. You don't allow them to dictate your emotional states. Now, this is when everything becomes real because it is not about what you say, but what you do. The next habit is about letting your consequences or actions speak for themselves. You don't tell people how to treat you, you show them. A boundary without any consequence is just a suggestion. And when there is no consequence, when there is no tangible or physical thing that happens, then a person learns that, oh, I can do it, and oh, the person they don't mind. I know that they'll get over it. It's not that serious. And then you don't get taken seriously. And I'm going to use an example of a cheating partner. Say you have this standard that I don't tolerate being cheated, and now you found out about this and you tell the person, don't ever cheat on me because I will leave you. And then he does it, and then you stay. That is end game right there, because you have just told this person they can get away with it because there are no real tangible consequences. That they'll get yelled at for a day, they'll get the cold shoulder, all they have to do is just win you back. Well, they can go out back and keep doing all their dirty things because they know that you don't have that self-respect to actually leave them. What has to happen is that even before getting into a relationship, and this is applicable in so many other areas, I'm just using this example, is that you come in and you say, I do not tolerate being cheated on. If I am cheated on, I leave. Because not being cheated on is the standard that you have for yourself. So when you go into this with this mindset, that is a promise that you are making to yourself. So the question is, will you trust yourself enough to follow through with it? And the answer is yes, 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 you are. So when you stay, even after you said you wouldn't, you're not only getting disrespected, but you are breaking that promise that you made to your own self. So now it's like a double bummer here. And you break that trust that you have with your own self. It's just not worth it to lose that internal integrity that you have for your own self. No matter how great this person can be, no matter how emotionally attached, like I said in my previous video, that love or anything that has to do with a relationship is like the ultimate battlefield for practicing your emotional intelligence, because I truly understand that it could be so hard differentiating yourself from the relationship, from all of those very intense emotions that happen with a relationship. So the situation would go this way, that when that person cheats, you leave them. But you don't leave them by screaming, by over-explaining, by having an intense emotional reaction to it. You simply exit. It's simple. You cheated. That is not the standard that I have for this relationship or myself. Therefore, I am exiting the relationship. So in that way, you can process it, make a better, more rational decision of your next step. And by not giving them this big emotional reaction, it's not because you don't care. It is because you are in control of yourself. So the habit looks like this. You already have your standard. It gets crossed. You act accordingly to the consequence of what crossing that boundary looks like. Consequences have to be in place in order to make those boundaries real, to make them of substance. Because now the person knows that you are someone that takes yourself so seriously, that you run a strict program around here. And if they want to be in your life, they have to act accordingly. The next habit is the decision finality, the no edit habit. Self-respect, like I've said throughout this video, is about keeping promises to yourself. So the no edit habit comes in when you make a decision, and that is it. That is finality. There is no maybe or no bargaining. No, like you have said this before. This is it. There is no editing happening. And in a lot of people-pleasing behavior, you can have a standard. And if you're not having a good feedback around it, if it's making people uncomfortable, editing that standard for the sake of others is unacceptable. We're not doing that, okay? And we all know that a consequence of having certain standards for yourself and not allowing other people to come and dictate them, well, a lot of people are not going to be happy about it, because how dare you be your own person and not do what I want, right? Oh no, like oh no. For example, you leave a party or you decline a drink. Let's use the example of a party. You don't feel comfortable anymore, and maybe you have a boundary of a standard of, I don't like to be out during this certain time, or if there are certain activities going on, or if you just, whenever you start feeling uncomfortable, that is your time to go. And now you have these people that are trying to pressure you into staying, that it's like, no, but you never go out. You just this one time, stay out with us, take a shot. The wrong way to go about this would be to be like, oh, like if it makes them happy, right? And you take the shot and you stay, and then you end up in a situation that you didn't want to be in to begin with. And you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, why did I do that? I broke the promise that I had to myself. So the edit that happened in that standard is where it went wrong. So the habit of making your decisions final, that this is final, no returns, no editing, no nothing. And you don't even have to give a justification for it. Just simply state it and move on. And try to not have language like, no, I'm sorry, but, or does this work for you? No, like if you have a boundary, a standard, a decision that you make, that needs to be word. That needs to be it. Try it next time that you are in a situation and your decision is something that maybe is not favorable to others. Don't explain, don't anything, simply state and move on, because your decision is finality. No editing, no lowering price, no nothing. You come just the way that you are. You have to treat your energy and your emotions as the expensive, valuable things that they are, because every day you wake up with a given amount of energy, and that is a finite resource, and you decide how it is you want to spend it. This is one of my favorite habits of making an energetic cost audit. The core concept is that before you say yes, you engage or you react, you subconsciously calculate the cost that it has on you. Everything has a cost to it. Conversations, people, situations, and not in money, but in energy. And emotions are energy in motion. And so somebody with a high emotional intelligence will tell themselves in a situation, not do I want this, but what will this cost me? Because sometimes the cost is your peace, your focus, your time, your emotional stability, all of these things that you have implemented standards and boundaries around to protect them. And the reason that this creates respect is that a lot of people impulsively will say yes to things, react emotionally, or stay in draining situations. And that energy is very scattered, reactive, and just available to everything and everyone. Whereas somebody who's constantly filtering and making a mini audit with everything that they do, they are very intentional, they are very grounded, they are very much in control. And so that reads as high standard, high value, respect. And so what this looks like is that instead of reacting emotionally to something, they take it in as data and run a mental calculation with that data, telling themselves, does staying in blank cost me my self-respect? If the answer is yes, then immediately withdraw. If the answer is no, then you keep engaging. So it's about prioritizing your internal standard rather than external or outsourcing social comfort. For example, say you are in a conversation with someone and they are being disrespectful. Maybe they're projecting something. So you take in that information, and instead of trying to defend yourself or arguing back, you take that mental information and you run a data analysis and you ask the question, is staying in this conversation costing me my self-respect? If the answer is yes, you just check out. You emotionally, mentally check out. No trying to explain yourself. So basically, if the interaction is making it harder for me to be the woman that I respect, the person is too expensive. Therefore, you stop paying with your time. No extra energy in yelling or proving your point or arguing. You simply make the process as efficient as possible, and you don't let them take that from you. You don't let them take that energy. Another way that this can be shown is that you are talking to somebody and they're actively critiquing you, and they're making it hard for you to be yourself. It is making it harder for you to stay in alignment. And you don't want to be around anyone or be in any situation that tries to mess with who you are, with your alignment. So by running these mental calculations, you are better able to identify what is costing you your self-respect, what is not worthy of your time. So yes, implement this habit, run the mental calculations, make that little energy cost audit. Is this costing me my self-respect? Making me out of alignment? If yes, it is too expensive. I am not putting my energy or my time in here. If you like this type of content, subscribe. I will be having a lot more topics around this subject. Thank you for watching. Bye.